Hello and welcome everyone, Lionheart here, and today I'm taking a look at MSI's Aegis X gaming PC. This is their latest pre-built desktop, and throughout the course of the video we'll be taking a look at its various features, specification, going through benchmarks, and then concluding by kind of looking at whether this is a viable alternative to building your own PC. We'll be taking a look at the features, seeing if what this offers is better than building your own or a viable alternative. So let's start with the specification. MSI have packed this with the latest and greatest technology currently available. It features an i7 6700K processor, which has a base clock of 4 GHz. It has MSI GTX 1080 Armor 8GB graphics card, 16GB 2133 MHz DDR4 RAM, 2 M.2 SATA SSDs in RAID 0, and a 2TB hard drive, and there's also space to upgrade this with another hard drive as well. As you can see in the little video clip, they have included a fair few upgradability options. They have said in their brief here that it's not about limiting gamers who want to upgrade their system, and you can certainly do that at any time with the components, despite the small form factor, which we'll see more as we go through this video. It also features a wireless card as well, and there's 2 antenna out the back which you can attach the supplied antenna to if you want to use wireless, but it also has Ethernet if you want to go through with that. It's also got a super slim tray multi-DVD drive hidden away at the front, and it features a 600 watt 80 plus silver certified PSU, which is housed separately to the rest of the components, which again helps with its airflow. As you can see from the diagram up on screen now, it enables each of the kind of core components, CPU, GPU, and PSU, to all kind of have their own sort of separate airflow. Going through, the PSU is located down in that separate sort of bottom stand of the case, and with the rest of the case kind of being angled, the liquid cooling that's actually on the CPU, yes, there is liquid cooling in this PC despite the small form factor, and that enables you to have some pretty extreme overclocking should you wish to, and will enable you to tinker this PC to your heart's delight. But yes, the CPU airflow coming in from the front and then being blasted out the bottom on top of the PSU technically, but because it's angled it can be blasted out the back there without too much problem. The GPU itself actually acts as an airflow intake from the side of the case and then is blasted out the back of the case by the rear I/O. Speaking of the rear I/O, let's very briefly take a look at what that features, which is 6 USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports, 2 USB 2.0 ports, HDMI out, it's got a gaming device port, and all your various audio jacks there. You'll also notice that there is an HDMI port at the back, as well as an HDMI port at the front. Now, via the cable that's supplied in the box, if you plug the HDMI cable into the back of your graphics card, then into the port at the rear of the case to the left of the I/O, that will send the HDMI signal out to that front HDMI port. And MSI have also kind of sort of branded and promoted this PC as VR ready, which it certainly is with a 1080 inside. And some of the complaints that many VR gamers have had, it seems that MSI want to incorporate into this PC in this case design, is the more sort of accessibility of an HDMI port. Having it at the front means you can just plug your headset, your VR headset, into the front of the PC, out to all the various splitters and cables that you need to run your VR setup, and they've kind of made it easier for you. I don't have a VR device in my setup, so I wasn't able to test it out for that use. However, for me, when I first saw this, first thing that crossed my mind was actually that's really useful for capture cards. For those of you who don't know, the kind of main way for recording, especially off consoles, gameplay footage is via using a capture card, and most of them feature an HDMI pass-through, so you plug one end into your console and the other end into your monitor with a USB cable going into your laptop or whether to actually record that footage. So if you did again want sort of an easily accessible HDMI port at the front for capture cards and things like that, this is a great position for it. And it's nice to see that they've included something like that. It certainly, again, adds to its future-proofing. Again, lots of upgradability options with this should you want to. Is a 600 watt power supply, but with graphics cards becoming more and more power efficient, this should be able to tackle the next generation, I'd have thought, of graphics cards as well, well on into the future. Despite that power supply only being 600 watts, it should be more than enough going forward. The rest of the front I/O features more USB ports. You have 2 more USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports, mic in and out, and you also have a USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type C port as well. And then you have that massive MSI badge, which acts not as a power button. The power button is located to the right of that front panel, but that badge is a massive overclock genie button, which will automatically load up a pre-configured overclocked profile for the entire gaming PC. You'll see this in the benchmarks, but this took the GTX 1080 Armor up to a maximum core clock of 1960 MHz, and the processor was turboing up to 4.2 GHz. So plenty of power, and I'll be running those benchmarks with that overclock genie button pressed. Also worth noting, if you're into your RGB lighting, you have MSI's Mystic Lighting effects all the way down the front of the case as well. I actually was kind of surprised that there wasn't like one thin strip of lighting along by the kind of window panel for the graphics card, as I thought that would have added to it, but MSI have kept the lighting to the front panel. So again, I would certainly say because of its small form factor, this is definitely a PC you'll want to have up on your desk. It actually doesn't make that much noise. I didn't have a way of measuring the specific noise output, but it never got that loud. And in MSI's brief that they sent over, under full load, they have their readouts of it maxing out at 36 decibels, which isn't bad at all. And I certainly, throughout my testing and gaming experience with the Aegis X, never noticed the PC overtaking my audio setup, and it didn't distract from my gaming experience. Finally, before we get into the benchmarks itself, just a few more of the features I wanted to mention, which are mainly the audio features. The Aegis X features the Audio Boost 3 technology from MSI, and then a Hdmi Audio Enhancer 2.0, which will again allow you to configure and tweak your audio to the best possible quality that you can expect from these components. Audio was very clear, and again, the enhance options actually for once made a substantial difference and actually enhanced my audio experience, as the name suggests, audio enhancer, rather than kind of detracted from it with sort of gimmicky application. So again, very impressed with the kind of software packaged with the Aegis X, again running Windows 10, 64-bit, and yeah, again, the rest of the features all the way through pretty solid so far. You have various apps to tweak and customize kind of the overclock profiles and the Mystic lighting, and all of that, again, very easy to use in the software that MSI have provided. So let's take a look at some benchmarks. I've got 3 games that I've benchmarked here, as well as the Heaven benchmark, which you can see up on screen right now, getting a pretty darn reasonable score, 2,700 odd there in its benchmark. And again, I don't know if you can see in the top right hand corner, you should see 1960 megahertz, running that overclock genie button being pressed in, the overclock profile, the GTX 1080 Armor running at that higher boost speed there on its core clock. So yeah, we're going to be running through Total War Warhammer, Tomb Raider, or rather Rise of the Tomb Raider, and The Division. So let's take a look at those benchmarks. very briefly, just want to throw up a screenshot of the temperatures of the PC after both running the Heaven benchmark, which really pushed the GPU as hard as it could, and after running all the benchmarks on the games, and for playing for several hours as well. These are the temperatures that came up here using the HW monitor to get readouts of them all. The CPU topped out at 77 degrees, but for the most part was running happily around the 60 to 65 degree mark. And again, that small form factor, it definitely needs that liquid cooling in there to help it, and it works with the airflow of the case in general anyway. But they're still perfectly reasonable temperatures. Again, this is after running all those benchmarks and tests and stress tests and gaming for several hours. If you're not running, Heaven benchmark, you'll probably see the temperatures a fair bit lower anyway. GPU topped out at 82 degrees, which is still fine. Didn't see any thermal throttling in any of my tests. And again, that was with it being overclocked to a core clock speed of 1960 megahertz. So that was the benchmarks for the Aegis X. It was able to handle all of those games perfectly fine, both at 1080 and at 1440p. The only game that really pushed it kind of under 60 FPS was Total Warhammer, when I had all the settings absolutely cranked up. Well, that was with 8 times anti-aliasing. If you look at the comparison between that and my own settings, which is a few settings here and there tweaked, it's still got, very reasonable performance, even at 1440p. So that all brings in line with the components it's got in there, that i7 and the GTX 1080, and they're absolutely blasting through all those games. You'll have no problem running, the latest games out today and, the next sort of round of games later on this year and into next year either. This will keep you going for a very long time. Plus, again, as we've said before, upgradability. This is, while a compact PC, something you can upgrade. The 600 watt PSU shouldn't be an issue, especially as I mentioned before, with GPU technology becoming more and more power efficient all the time. Just make sure that the dimensions, I would say, of the graphics cards don't change too much, and it'll fit in there fine. I believe you probably should be able to upgrade the CPU should you want to, but with an i7 7000K in there already at 4 GHz or up to 4.2 with that that basic overclock, and probably you can push that further. I can't really see anyone needing that to go further, even if you wanted to use it as an a rendering editing machine as well. If I wanted to use that for editing and rendering videos really fast on the fly, this would still be an absolute beast. So great that they've obviously included that upgradability in there, but you're not going to really need to touch that, I wouldn't have thought, for a fair few years anyway, unless you absolutely have to have the latest and greatest stuff. And in that case, probably a simple GPU upgrade will get you the extra frames or the extra performance that you're looking for. I really like the hard drive cages that you can just pull out and load up another one there, and it's great that they've given you one to start with that's empty that you can put another in should you wish to. I mean, for me, I'd want to put in another 2 or maybe even 4 terabyte hard drive in there for loads of recordings and what have you. And obviously you can install games in there too. There is also space at the very top of the case to put in a 2.5 inch SSD if you want to put something up there as well. Obviously you've got those M.2 PCIe SSDs in to start you off, which has blisteringly fast load speeds, and you could load up a few games onto those if you wanted to, but you could get yourself a terabyte SSD to sit in the top as well. So you actually have a lot of expansion options for storage, which wasn't something I thought this would have. So overall, I'm pretty darn impressed with the Aegis X from MSI. And that still remains once I took a look at the price tag, which is in the UK £1,999. So I also took a look at how much it would be to kind of custom build these components together. Now, bearing in mind that the processor and the graphics card alone would bring you up to nearly £1,000 anyway. Factor in the rest of the components and you're looking at about £1,750. So the markup, or rather kind of I guess the premium that MSI add on to that, it's 250 odd pounds that they're adding on. Now kind of for that premium, you are getting a rather unique design case. It is a small form factor and it does have that carry handle at the back, which does mean that, you know, if you want to take this around your friend's house, you know, I'm seeing other reviewers and again MSI's kind of own product page and promotions for this about being able to kind of share VR experiences with your friends, because you can pick it up, take your VR setup with you and set it down at your mate's house, plug it all in, and you're good to go. The one thing that really struck out to me about the kind of, I guess, portability that this offers is if I went to uni 5 years ago now, is when I first went, and I, for that, bought a £1,200 odd gaming laptop. Now, if I was thinking about it now, I didn't really use that laptop to take notes at uni. It was more that when I came back from university, I had a powerhouse machine that I could actually play all of my games on at reasonable specifications. But thinking now, if something like this had existed back then, probably what I would have done is actually, I don't know, maybe sold my existing PC at home and invested in one of these, because I could have had it at home, and then when I wanted to go, you know, to uni, I can actually take it with me, because while you certainly don't want to be carrying it around for ages because it is a bit heavy, it does have that portability factor. Obviously, you're going to have to carry your screen and everything. But if you are maybe looking for a somewhat portable, somewhat mobile setup, obviously you're not exactly going to be setting this up on the train or in your lecture. But yeah, I like what this offers in that I can pick it up and I can take it with me, you know, to a destination at the other end, and plug it into a setup there. I do quite like that. Some of you might feel that the price doesn't justify that and all the features that it has, and that's fair enough. I know some people will be die-hard custom build your own PCs, you know, for forever. You won't want to look at a pre-built machine, and I would normally say I'm in that bracket as well, just because I haven't been that impressed or, you know, interested in the pre-built scene. But I think what MSI have offered here actually is one of the first pre-builts that I've seen in a very long time that does interest me. Not only does it have, you know, very high-end components, it's an absolute monster of a machine, but it has the flexibility of upgrading, it has portability factors to it, it has good airflow, it has liquid cooling, which are all things that normally in a small form factor machine you don't get, and it's also quite quiet as well. As I said, it wasn't really audible over, you know, my gaming sessions anyway, and it certainly didn't impact when I was trying to record stuff with it as well, using sensitive microphones. So with all that packaged in, I think this is actually a pretty reasonable machine, a high-end machine at that. It's certainly not, you know, a PC that everyone is going to want to go out and buy. You know, the budget gamers among us are not going to go for this. But if you want an absolute monster, an enthusiast class machine that is ready to go, that you can take with you to LAN events, to gaming events, to university if you want to, and to other situations like that. I mean, feel free to let me know in the comment section, where would you take this PC? You know, with that carry handle, what adventures would you get up to with it? I think this is a very reasonable choice, and the markup, the premium, whatever you want to call it, actually I don't think is too bad considering the cost of the components in there anyway. I think it's pretty good. But share your thoughts. Are pre-built PCs still, you know, a waste of time, or has this one sparked your interest as well? And maybe, you know, thinking about it, potentially, if I was in a situation to get a new PC, I might actually consider one of these rather than building one myself. Anyway, big thanks to MSI for sending this over to me to review. I'm sure some of you will be asking, Lionheart, did you get to keep this? Unfortunately, no. It was a review sample on loan, so it was sent off to the next reviewer after about a week or so of me having it. So I do miss it. Striking design. What do you guys think of the design? Because I know from my last GPU review of MSI, some of you guys are a bit hit and miss about, you know, did you guys actually like the design or not? So with this one, you know, let me know in the comment section. Is this a design you like? Do you think it's striking, as, you know, obviously I do? Or is it a no-no for you and you quite happily build, you know, your PC in a traditional, you know, rectangle, basically? But yeah, overall, I'm pretty impressed with this. The performance is insane, as it should be for the components that are inside. It's got upgradability, it's got reasonable portability to it, it's got good air cooling and liquid cooling in it, and yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said. So, until next time, I hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, take pride and join the Legion. Check out my affiliates and sponsors, XMG, Green Man Gaming, and Overclockers UK. Till next time, ciao for now.